What's up, everybody? Welcome again to Wise Guys Hideaway. I'm your host, Ian Barr, and today I'm going to be talking about good old Samuel Mad Sam DiStefano, one of the most ruthless, sadistic sons of bitches to ever really, to ever really run through organized crime, to be honest, but especially when it comes to the Chicago outfit. Before we get into that, though, I'm gonna, give my quick promo plugs real quick. Big shout out to Arthane Clothing Apparel and Gunnar Lindblom, author of To Be a King's Volume 1 and 2. Big shout out to Scott M. Bernstein, author of Motor City Mafia and the host of the Original Gangster podcast. Al Prophet, uh, Frank DiMatteo, Larry Mazza, all the guys out there that, really hold it down for me and, let me sort of shift my way into their life and pick their brains. You know what I mean? So big shout out to all those guys. I also gotta give a big shout out to all the guys over there at Art Thing. David Randazzo out in Grand Rapids. What's up, brother? Ronnie Cockroach, how you living, bro? I hope your beachfront property is still beachfront and not water world. Who else we got here? We got James Ramirez, we got Boston Rob, how you doing? How's your ma? Paulie G from New York, David Braxpire from London, all the boys over there, and then, of course, my friends and family who always, all the way along, all throughout my life, told me that I needed to do some kind of radio or some sort of, entertainment platform of some kind. So, big shout out to all you guys. Love y'all. And, yeah, we out here getting it. I gotta give another quick shout out to Augusta Towers for keeping me, keeping me climbing and keeping me making that bread, so that we can all eat on this end. Also, they're responsible for this gnarly farmer's tan I got. We unfortunately can't pop our shirts off up there in the towers, so what are you gonna do? I gotta give a special shout out to Slulin Rab, the author of the Five Families book you see right behind me. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, man. Uh, that guy is just a slew of mob knowledge. So yeah, extra happy birthday to him. And let's get into it. So, born on September 13th, 1909, Samuel Mad Sam DiStefano Jr. was one of three sons and then was one of seven children to Samuel Sr. and Rosalie, who were both hardworking Italian immigrants who immigrated to, Illinois in, roughly 1903. And, despite, how two of the sons ended up, might actually be all three of the sons. I'm not 100% on that. But, yeah, the parents were hardworking, blue collar. Old school, traditional Italian, Catholic, So, is it nature or is it nurture, guys? That's what I always wonder when I read into some of these fellas. And, in particularly with Mad Sam DiStefano, I really do just think he was born evil. Just that the Chicago FBI branch actually deemed him the worst and most prolific torture murderer in the United States. He had a real penchant for violence, and he had a real penchant for torturing victims who owed him money. He uh he definitely will go down as one of the most notorious loan sharks, not only in Chicago but just in organized crime in general. Due simply to the fact that he had a weird sort of fetish, if you will, where he loved high risk loans. Individuals who, they probably squandered or fucked up with a bookmaker or a few bookmakers throughout the city. And so now they're not only are they really not welcome as far as, loan sharks, bookmakers, all that goes, but they're also their interest is just instantaneously higher. Mad Sam at some points would charge 25% vigorish on the money he'd lend you, and from what Frank Collada, Tony Spilatro's right hand man turned state's witness that we discussed last weekend about Martin Scorsese's movie Casino, Tony Spilotro, and Lefty Rosenthal and all those guys. Well, Mad Sam's who mentored Tony Spilatro, and Tony Spilatro sort of half mentored Collada, but even Frank Collada, he got a real Chicago type talk, and he always said that Mad Sam was just that. He was mad. He was a dog. You know, it drifted into more of an East Coast accent over there, but Chicago. Like Frank Lott is a trip, man. If you're ever looking for a good like mob informant documentary piece on Chicago, uh, I've always enjoyed how Frank Collada narrates it because he never really holds any qualms about how shitty of a person he was. He just kind of owns it. You get you get some of these guys who act like they're so remorseful or they're so like Philip Leonetti from the Philly mob who turned state's evidence. He when he tells his story, it seems like it's always someone else's fault why he ended up in the positions he ended up in, and ended up killing people and whatever. But Frank Lodge was like, yeah, no, Chicago, I own it, Tony. So I mean, like I said, if you're ever looking for a mob doc on Chicago, go ahead and just type in Frank Collada, he'll pop up. Now, another fun fact about Mad Sam is that the powers that be, the overseers of the Chicago outfit, throughout the course of his career, always found him so mentally unstable, sporadic, and homicidal that they refused to ever give him his button. They refused to ever, induct him as a made man. However, even though he was just an associate slash enforcer, he did become one of the biggest loan sharks in Chicago underworld's history. So he sort of had a real fine role to play as far as an associate went. He definitely held a little more reins than your average associate, but yeah, but they never would make him. Oh, he was born in Schrader, Illinois, and then eventually his parents would move to, different sections of Illinois, such as Herrin, where his father would become a coal miner for a while. I mean, his father, Sam Senior, I mean, he did a lot of things. He was a real stand-up guy. He's a laborer, a grocer. He was a door-to-door salesman for a while, real estate agent. He wasn't a criminal. He wasn't a scumbag like his son would end up being. And he would die of natural causes in 1942 when he was 77. His wife Rosalie would die in October of 1960. Obviously in the care of her children. But as I said before, they had 3 sons and 4 daughters. The daughters all ended up, as normal as you're gonna end up with having a brother like Mad Sam, who probably, unfortunately molested them, the sick son of a bitch. I don't know that for a fact. I just know that Mad Sam DeStefano is a habitual rapist. So yeah, he's a real piece of shit. Which I just never got that one either. You got to rob a bank. You need money. You're gonna do a little bookmaking or a gambling operation. You sell a little dope or even when somebody is a liability or fucks up and you gotta put 2 in the back of their head, they gotta go. That all makes sense to me. I never got the whole rape bit. I just don't rape women. It's just yeah. It's pretty much that easy. Just do whatever you want as a criminal. And just have some kind of guidelines. Jesus, leave kids the fuck alone and stop raping women. You fucking animals. So shortly after Mad Sam's born is when they moved to Herrin. His father becomes a coal miner for a little while. Due to certain trials and tribulations and a series of unfortunate events, eventually the family's relocated yet again to Little Italy in Chicago's north side. Now, Sam almost instantly took to the streets. From the time he could figure out his first hustle, he just started running with it, and would really show his ruthlessness in November of 1927 when him and another individual by the name of Ralph Orlando were each sentenced to time in prison for the orchestration and gang rape of a 17-year-old girl, essentially. Uh, Mad Sam and Orlando, they sort of abducted the girl from a road, as she walked down the sidewalk. They took her to a parking garage, and several other men, converged at the parking garage, and they all began to obviously take turns raping this poor young girl. Orlando actually did, in fact, rape her and was given 10 years for that. However, here's one of those shitty fucking judicial loopholes. Mad Sam was simply waiting his turn when a beat cop is actually what stopped the gang rape from being, entirely fed. They probably would have killed her at the end. So I mean, luckily for her, the beat cop, you know, caught up halfway through and put a stop to it, and all the parties involved were arrested. But Mad Sam hadn't yet had a chance to rape the girls, so he was only given 3 years. And I mean, that's just, I don't know. The loopholes like that make me fucking sick, and that's the problem with fucking scumbag lawyers right there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's brilliant that you can, sift through words and read into books and find every, nook and cranny that the law has to offer. But if somebody's a rapist, maybe just, I don't know, just let them go. Just send them up for at least 5, if not ever. Anyways, so after he does his bid in 1930, Sam proceeds to join the 42th Street Gang, 42nd Street Gang, which is at that time run by a young up and comer who will eventually be They say he was the boss of the Chicago outfit. For a stretch, I feel like he was like the face boss, and the Big Tuna really ran things. But nonetheless, Salvatore, Momo, or Sam Giancana, and so Mad Sam links up with Giancana, and Giancana sort of shows Mad Sam different how to run different scams and operations such as bootlegging, gambling, and I mean just your bread and butter, the bread and butter for the mafia. During a botched robbery in August 1932, Mad Sam's actually wounded by a police bullet, manages to escape, and when receiving medical treatment at the hospital, just refused to answer anything about how he had received a gunshot wound. Not too long after that, in 1933, Sam's convicted in New Lisbon, Wisconsin, of bank robbery, and slapped with a 40-year stretch. So I mean, for a second, it seemed like people's, mothers, daughters, and sisters were, a lot safer from this fucking animal. But come 1942, roughly in December, Governor Julius Hell pardoned him. I don't know who from what operation managed to get to Governor Hell, but yeah, nonetheless, just in a mere 9 years out of 40, Mad Sam's back on the street. However, it wouldn't last too long, because within 2 years, and 2 years or so, Mad Sam goes right back to prison. I mean, he can't. I mean, he can't help it. He was sent back to prison around June in 1947 for counterfeiting ration stamps. Now, what ration stamps are, for everybody who's my age and didn't decide to read history books, sort of like what an EBT is. From back in the day, and like just like people, sell their EBT for cash and find a loophole in the system, they were doing it back then too. It's all been done. You know what I mean? During his stay at Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary, though, like during the 40s, Mad Sam manages to meet some real top shelf Chicago outfit Cosa Nostra members, such as Paul the Waiter Rica, who will play a big role in sort of the power vacuum that Chicago will grip onto, as well as Louis Campagna. And I mean, those connections really helped him, you guys. Like, I mean, because in 19 shortly after his release, he obtains a civil service job as a garbage foreman, and actually sort of has like a legitimate run until around 1952 when his record's discovered. And he's fired from his civil service job, but he's not criminally charged. So one yet again, Mad Sam happens to catch a fucking break. Now, soon after that, he begins loan sharking, and this will be where Mad Sam DeStefano finds, I guess, what he would consider his true calling, lending money to degenerate gamblers, drug addicts, and deadbeats, and then charging luxurious interest, hoping that they never even make the first payment, so that he can cut off a finger, or stick ice picks in your testicles, or I mean, all sorts of things. Frank Loud is reported as saying one time that they were going to work on a deadbeat, torturing him, and he says, I could have swore Sam was, foaming at the mouth. He just a real sick guy, just a real sick guy. So I mean, Sam DiStefano enjoyed torture to a level that even like medieval, torturers who that literally was their job would be like, all right, guy, just how about you take it down a peg or two. He's who mentored Tony Spilotro, the individuals that we talked about last week, and I mean, he taught Tony everything he knew and sort of took him under his wing like like a son. Despite the fact that he was fit three ways for a straitjacket, Mad Sam actually did have some very, very cunning and I mean rather ingenious um, sort of get by maneuvers, I'll call them. Which one of them would be he wore these big old thick rimmed glasses so that most people thought like, oh, well, Sam can't see me. When in reality, it was just a clear lens. It wasn't a bifocal or nothing in the lens. Or if so, it was very minuscule, almost like a reading glass. And that way he could appear to be, like you would be blind. People would think they, this, that, or whatever, and yet you got perfect vision. You're staring out your peripherals. You're taking it all in. Uh, Another crazed thing Mad Sam used to do is when an individual would, owe him a large amount of money, and Sam would be, getting ready to punch his ticket. He would buy said individual an expensive gift, and have and have it known that he had given it to him. That way, when the poor son of a bitch turns up in the trunk of a car in the field, or in the East River, um, or not the East River, that's New York, I apologize, or in Lake Michigan, Mad Sam would be like, I mean, why would I hurt that individual? I mean, look at the nice gift I got them, like that was my friend. Why would I ever hurt my friend? Which is really, I mean, that's really, really conniving and sick and just, I mean, really unnecessary to be honest with it. However, though, I mean, his sadistic process worked. He became one of the most successful loan sharks that the outfit's ever seen. Tony Arcado and Sam Giancana were so taken by how well he did at loan sharking that they invested their own money, not some sort of scheme money or this that. No, their own personal savings money they had stacked away, and they backed Mad Sam with their own cash because they knew that he was just a cash register. He's charging 20 to 25% interest. Killing is his fucking go-to, so you never have to worry about the collection. And I mean, he just was a money machine. Now, following a negative report in the Chicago Tribune, reporter William Doherty was assaulted by Mad Sam DiStefano, as well as threatened with a gun. I mean, he really did a number on that guy, and I mean, Mad Sam wasn't just terrible to rivals and the public and every random woman that when and if he felt like raping, he did or attempted to. He was terrible to everyone, including his wife, Janine Rose. And all six of their children went into hiding after his death because they just knew how terrible their father was, and that, now that he was gone, if anybody could, even half avenge what Mad Sam might have put their father, brother, uncle, sister, whatever through. I mean, they it was smart to go into hiding. They were definitely all at great risk, I'm sure. And not only was he, an abusive father, but he was also an abusive husband. I mean, he constantly would rape his own wife, forcing her to have, sex with him when she wouldn't want to. And one time when he became enraged with her, he held a stranger, another gentleman, at gunpoint and forced that gentleman to rape his wife just to just to humiliate her. And that's just fucked. Like that is just fucked up. Like I don't even know what it takes to be that evil of a person or that just cold and just callous as a person. I mean, you want to talk about a textbook a psychopath. true to blue, not like a debatable, oh, maybe he's just a sociopath, maybe he's a narcissist. No. Mad Sam DiStefano uh, was a manic schizophrenic, in my opinion. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know. But yeah, manic schizophrenic as well as just a true to blue psychopath. I mean, he just didn't feel. He didn't have remorse. Now, by the mid 50s, DiStefano had bullied or bribed his way into the political, the political ties that bind in Chicago. He he actually used to even brag that like there isn't a case that I can't fix because allegedly Mad Sam DiStefano was quite the fixer when it came to rigging juries or helping to get people acquitted or lesser sentences. And it's even alleged that one time with a mere $20,000 he fixed the outcome, the decision, the verdict. There it is. I couldn't think of the word on a first degree murder case, and fix the verdict and a more favorable side for whatever he needed, which was obviously not guilty, so he could keep his people on the streets. I mean, corruption at this time is, I mean, also just running rampant, but it got to be so routine for Mad Sam that even like that crooked cops sort of escorted him to and from like his home and his meetings, and and I mean, it's really incredible that this guy just was allowed to live as long as he did. But not, I mean, as I said before, he was a cash register. He's more like a slot machine. This motherfucker could just, because he didn't really thrive for the money. Anytime I've ever seen photos or any kind of anything about Matt Sam, he's not really an impeccable dresser. I've never really seen a big, a massive house out of him. I don't think money really motivated him as much as just getting to hurt people. Really, truthfully, that's just my opinion. I'm sure the money was a nice cherry on top, but this fucking guy would get a little too giddy when people couldn't pay up their debts. It's a little. I mean, gangsters always handle it the way gangsters do, but you're not supposed to be so upbeat about it. You're supposed to kind of like, oh, come on, man. And then you're like, well, let's give him a beating. Mad Sam will be like, let's pull his fucking teeth out, like, so. I mean, yeah, it was definitely not somebody you wanted to cross. In the early '60s, Mad Sam is definitely just like leading the loan sharking racket for the Chicago outfit. I mean, he he's doing so well, but yet he's slowly already digging himself his own grave. And just his bizarre antics and his sadistic amount of violence got worse and worse and worse. Like, the older and older he got, and just the more he seemed to get more and more crazed. Now, in 1965, eventually, DiStefano is convicted on conspiracy and sentenced to 3 to 5. So, February 22nd, 1972, he's given a 3.5-year sentence for threatening a witness. I mean, this guy just, towards the end of his run, he just couldn't quit catching cases, couldn't quit being indicted, and he couldn't quit going in front of the TV cameras and the news medias and just flapping his gums, I mean, a lot of people have heard the Gotti tapes. I mean, if you haven't, we will get to them. But nonetheless, John Gotti talked an immense amount in public, and it was very boisterous and was very. But his was sort of just ego and sort of having this sense of swag and all, and entitlement about him. Mad Sam's was just just that. It was the babblings of a fucking madman. I mean, he would just like there's one particular video where he's talking about like, I am my brother's keeper, after I think an attempted murder on his brother's life, or something like that. It's just any film I've ever seen of DiStefano talking, he really just sounds like he should be in a padded room in a straitjacket or in a hole somewhere. Now, eventually Sam's going to end up on trial for a very high-profile murder case involving a union foreman. During the court proceedings, Sam becomes sort of just unhinged and reckless, and just really begins babbling, just being held in contempt of court. Then just goes out into the hall after the proceedings and just really just starts just flapping away to the press and making a spectacle of himself. And so eventually, despite how immense the money he could make for the outfit was. A private meeting was held where Tony Arcado, the Big Tuna, uh, gave Tony Spilotro the okay go, or the green light, if you will, to kill his one-time mentor and, sort of his boss at the time. This is how Spilotro would make his bones in La Cosa Nostra and become a made man in the outfit, which would help to ascend him to where we ended up last weekend, where he's in Vegas and the movie Casino. And well, this would be it, because on April 14th, 1973, Mad Sam DiStefano was lured into his garage in Galewood, in the Galewood neighborhood, in the 1600 block of the North Surrey Avenue. And once in the garage, Tony Spilotro sort of came from the side and shot DiStefano twice with a shotgun. The first blast took off his left arm from the elbow down, and the second shot sort of grazed the side of his head, and I mean, they put him down like the mad dog he was. I mean, a guy like that, a guy that loose hinged and crazy, he's gonna have to die. The bittersweet irony would be that the individual that would murder him, as per usual in the mob, would be the individual that he had taken under his wing and mentored and sort of loved like a son. But I mean, I don't think Spilotro, Collada, Arcado, I don't think anybody ever really batted an eye over whether or not Mad Sam DiStefano would have to be murdered, but just a matter of when. So, well, that's all I got for you guys here today. I'll be back here next weekend. I'm on the road all week with the new job that I have. It's not really new. I've been doing it for a stretch now, but yeah. So I'm on the road all week long. But like I said, man, anybody out there who's listening, anybody who gives me the time of day, I really appreciate you. I got a bit of a bumpy road going on right now in my personal life, and just anything to help keep me distracted or keep me from being in my own head too much is much appreciated. So, and I guess the one thing I want to leave out on would be if there's somebody out there that you care about, if you got love in your life, I mean, embrace that shit, man, because that shit don't just come around all the time, and it's real fragile, and it's real easy to lose. So, but I don't mean to go out on such a down note. I love you guys, and I hope you enjoyed. I know I did. Take it easy.